Today I'm going to show you how I make my sunflower pesto pasta. And that's right, I said sunflower pesto. Why? Because as much as I love pine nuts,
they're expensive.
And you know, I just can't imagine 10 bucks for a handful of pine nuts when I know I can get like a whole bag of sunflower seeds. And you know what? Sunflower seeds are really good for you too. So here we go. Derica, we wrote down some stuff earlier. What do I need to make this pesto?
We're going to start with the pesto sauce itself. And for that, we need 2 to 3 cups of fresh basil leaves.
That would be this green stuff right here.
We happen to have a copious amount of fresh basil leaves
because Derica just did a video on it on her channel.
Yeah.
And you also want to use a good blender, okay? Does it have to be a high-speed Vitamix blender? No, it really doesn't.
But it does really does help.
Yeah, it's faster. So there's that. And then just go right into the blender, just like that.
To that, we're going to add half a cup of sunflower seeds.
Now, recipes vary, okay? This one I tried to cut back on the oil, so there's a little bit more sunflower seed. Plus, you know, I like that nutty flavor in there, so it works.
Most recipes that we looked up on pesto making call for 2 cloves of garlic. So, of course, we're putting in 4.
Just 4? I think we need 5. That's 4. Be right back. Did I say 5? I really meant 6. 2 more.
Gotta change my notes.
That's right. Gotta keep her on her toes. All right, what's next?
A 4th cup of oil.
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 For this, I'm using California Olive Ranch extra virgin olive oil, medium, smooth and balanced.
Yeah.
We get it at Publix. I actually really like this stuff. It's also available on Amazon, I believe. If you really have an aversion to using oil, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, you can actually substitute out a little bit of veggie broth for it instead. It doesn't come out exactly the same. It's not going to be quite as rich, but it's still really, really good.
Next is a 4th cup of nutritional yeast, which we already have measured.
If you're not familiar with nutritional yeast, you should be. It is basically the same yeast that they use for brewing, baking, and that kind of thing, but it is inert. It's dead. And it's made in such a way, grown in such a way, that it gives off like a little bit of a cheesy flavor, but it's actually from glutamates in it, kind of like what's in tomatoes and mushrooms and things like that. So it adds this nice rich flavor. It does give a little bit of a cheesy flavor. I'm using it to substitute for the Parmesan cheese that would normally be in this. So here we go.
And last but not least is 1 tablespoon of lemon juice.
This I'm adding because we're not actually using Parmesan cheese. It'll give that little bit of a tart flavor or sourness that the cheese might impart. So in it goes.
And now we blend.
Okay, that was surprising. Now, this might be a little dry for us, so you may end up having to hit it with the spatula a couple times to get it going. Like that. Just want to scoop around the sides a little bit. You know, try not to pick up all the stuff on your spatula. Wouldn't be me if I didn't make a mess. All right, this is just too dry. In this case, you could add more oil, or you can do what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a little bit of water. Let me get my water measuring device. Now, when it comes to pesto, you want to be careful adding too much liquid. A lot of sauces, you can actually depend on the cooking down process later on to evaporate them. Pesto isn't so much cooked. You pretty much pour the pasta into the pesto rather than, you know, the other way around. So you want to be a little bit careful. I'm going to put in, that's probably about a 1/4 cup at this point. And I was trying to rinse off my spatula to no avail. It actually didn't really work very well. You know, it never fails. You can make something a dozen times, make it on camera, and suddenly it's a million times harder. Never fails, every single time. Okay, I let that go for about 30 seconds or so, and in watching it, it is still a little bit too thick. And that can be caused by, oh wow, it smells really good though. That can be caused by, you know, I had a lot of basil in there, or the sunflower seeds are clogging it up, or whatever. I'm just going to put in another tablespoon or 2 of water, because there's not a lot of volume here either, and I want to get this to work for, you know, a whole meal. So rather than adding more fat, let's just add a little tiny bit of water, because, you know, basil leaves vary, things like that, so it's all good. By the way, at this point, you might want to have your water almost ready to boil. You might be able to hear it off in the background if you listen carefully. Okay, another 30 seconds on the blender. If yours is not a super high-speed blender, you might need to go for a minute or two. It's okay. If you go too long with this, it will cook it and your basil will turn black, which is, it doesn't change the flavor so much, but it doesn't look as pretty. So try not to do that. It smells amazing. Let me show you what this looks like. That's right, it's pesto. It's green, it's thick, it's rich. It's kind of like, I don't want to say what it looks like, but I'm gonna just dip a finger in here. Oh, that is lovely. The olive oil gives it almost a sweetness. It's kind of unusual. Sunflower seeds are relatively sweet too, so all those together, it's just so good. If you like basil, this is the sauce for you. Now, let's figure out what we're gonna do with this. All right, that ends phase one. Phase two is let's make this, something that you want to eat, right? So we're gonna do something with some pasta. I have 6 ounces of penne pasta that we cooked up. It's over there in a bowl, and it's just got a little bit of light spray of oil on it to keep it from sticking.
You can use whatever pasta you wish. We just suggest, since this is kind of a chunky with sauce situation, that you probably don't want the long, like spaghetti style pasta.
If you want to, I mean, I do have preference to the longer noodles. But for this, yeah, penne, even a ziti noodle would be okay. Just do penne. It's so much easier.
Rigatoni, farfalle. I mean, there's so many options.
If you really want to.
Don't limit yourself. Be creative.
You're giving them ideas. All right, for the mushrooms, I'm just using plain old button mushrooms. I snip the stem part off, the gross part. And we wash our mushrooms. We use water. People say, oh, they soak it all up. They're not sitting here long enough to soak it all up. And I mean, they're going in the frying pan in just a minute.
Now, I know some people are going to freak out about that. Do not pre-wash your mushrooms.
Oh, no, don't do that.
You only do it right before you're going to use them.
Literally seconds before I sat down, these got washed. And she just, runs them under water, hits them with a brush, and just takes off the dirt, basically. Okay, so what we're gonna do. The recipe called for half a cup of roasted mushrooms or braised mushrooms or, cooked mushrooms. I got a cup of fresh mushrooms, and you know what? I'm okay with that. I like mushrooms, but my pan has been heating for a little while, and it's starting to get a little bit too hot. It's on 1.5 now. It was on 2.25 out of 5. I'm just gonna use a little dab of olive oil, not a lot. I know I promote the non-olive oil cooking concept a lot, or the non-oil cooking concept a lot, but in some cases, hey, you know what? You're already using all those sesame seeds. You're already using oil. Just go with it. This isn't an everyday meal. This is a once in a while.
You don't need oil at this moment unless you're cooking on a wonky countertop thing like we are.
Yeah, I suggest doing this on your stove.
And then you could do the no oil method.
If you want to,
no problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've done this using the no oil method. You totally can. I'm just being silly. You want to get your mushrooms cooking, okay? You don't want to burn them. It's kind of hard to do. But you want them to release some of their liquid and cook down a little bit, get nice and flavorful. Then we have these things.
Sun-dried tomatoes.
That's right. How much sun-dried tomatoes do we have?
We have 1/3 of a cup.
1/3 of a cup of sun-dried tomatoes. I'm gonna throw them right in. Apparently the fumes are getting Derek just a little bit. And I'm moving them around. They're gonna soak up a little bit of that oil and puff up a touch.
Yeah, he's looking to rehydrate them just ever so much.
It's getting you, huh? It's not even that hot. If that starts to happen to you, I suggest turning down the heat. That's why I turned it down. It's a cast iron pan. They heat up, they get hot. Okay, once that's been cooking for a minute or two, I am actually gonna add some water. And there's 2 reasons. This happens to be the pasta water. So it adds a little bit of starch to the dish, but it also will cool that pan down. Hear that sizzle? Now my glasses are all fogged up. Adds a little starch, but it'll also help plump up those sun-dried tomatoes just a little bit. And like I said, it cools the pan down really quick. So that way we don't overcook anything.
Oh man, the cooked mushrooms with that something special that sun-dried tomatoes adds to a dish. Just the aroma alone.
They both are full of umami and glutamates. That's what it is. They add so much flavor to things. Tomatoes are amazing. Sun-dried tomatoes are incredible. They're gonna give almost a meaty feel in the mouth too. The sun-dried tomatoes have just enough chew to be like perfect. Okay, and for a little bit of a salty, briny flavor, because I don't like to add salt, we are going to be using Kalamata olives. Now, you can leave these out if you really want to. I think they add a nice little touch.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw them right in. How much should I use?
1/3 of a cup.
1/3 of a cup. Okay. Again, this is cooking, folks. You know, you don't have to be exact with your numbers. You can use a little more, a little less. It's okay. No one's gonna like go nuts.
If for some reason you have an aversion to olives, which I guess there's people
I don't think we can be friends.
that are like that way. But if you do, and you still want to have some of that brininess in here, you could add a little bit of capers.
They're going to be a slightly different kind of brininess.
Yep.
But yeah, you could. I can imagine that too. And you know what? If all else fails and you just can't do either of those, a little extra lemon juice is totally fine.
Yep.
I know it's not briny, but it still kind of does a similar concept. Okay, I have added a little bit more water to these, just trying to heat everything through, really, because the mushrooms are the only thing that need to be cooked. Everything else is pretty much ready, and there's nothing worse than an overcooked olive. It's just kind of gross. All right, I think we are ready to start assembly.
Yep. Only thing we have left is black pepper to taste, but that can go in our bowl.
That goes in the bowl.
Yeah.
So let me get this out of the way so we have some more room. All right, so what we have here is a big glass bowl. There's a GL in there. And what I want to do is add the pasta to this bowl.
Pasta.
So we got 6 ounces of the cooked pasta, like I said, with just a touch of oil on it. You can see it right there. That's probably a little bit of water too. I also took the liberty of getting a little bit more pasta water because we may actually need it. And now I want to get all of this into here and mix it through. Yeah, I can do that. Sometimes it gets hot. I didn't give it enough time. This smells incredible already, just gotta say. And I'm gonna mix that through. I mean, this would probably just be good on its own, you know? Okay, and now we wanna get the pesto into here. We may or may not need all of it. And since I hate scooping it out of the Vitamix blenders, it's the only complaint I have about Vitamix blenders, is it's so hard to get everything out of them. See how thick that is? Derek is just gonna scoop it in there, and I'm gonna mix it through with a little bit of pasta water. Pasta water loosens it up, but also adds those hot starches to help it to stick together a little bit better. It'll stick to that pasta and all that.
Non più tra I farfalloni amoroso, notte giorno di torno girando, delle belle turbando al riposo.
All right, so we have half, maybe 2/3 of it out. Let me mix that around, see if we have enough. I mean, you know, you can put pesto on toast, so it's not like it's gonna go to waste. I think we actually have enough. Let me add some water because it's really uber thick. Now, it'll change too as you add what looks to be more water than you probably need. Okay, that was probably like a 1/4 cup of water. But as I mix this through, the steam is gonna take all that away, and it's gonna start to get like this glistening, shiny appearance. It's wonderful.
And that's one of the cool things about using pasta water to integrate into your sauces. The starch in the pasta water really brings something extra to the table rather than just a dilution.
Okay, so it looked like that was all we needed. So if you wanted to make a little bit more pasta, you totally could. We're just trying to make this for one meal. And last but not least,
Black
Erica's
pepper.
favorite, black pepper. How much black pepper? Pretend like you're at Olive Garden.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that's good. About that much. And then mix that through. You could put red pepper flake in here too if you wanted to, make it a little bit spicy. The ingredients you can pretty much play fast and loose with. I actually considered onions. I considered peas, which might get lost because there's a lot of green here already. But there's a lot of options.
If you want to bump up the protein even more, you can put some chickpeas or some cannellini beans.
Cannellini beans, yes.
I always say it wrong.
She always likes to say cannelli beans, and I'm like, no, they're cannellini beans. But yeah, they would work great. You can use tofu if you wanted to, or any, vegan meat replacement would work just fine. Let me get a couple of cool pictures of this so that I have a great thumbnail, and then we're gonna taste it. All right, so we now have the smallest serving in the world right here. See, if you go by this, that's about 12 servings.
Wow.
But this is just our taster bowl. Don't get silly on me. I would just want to get a good bite of a little bit of everything here. Open wide. That one's for you. Now for me. That was a good pasta. All right, what you get is that creaminess of the pesto is wonderful. The sunflower seeds are giving it a nice nutty flavor without overbearing at all.
You get the pop of the garlic and the lemon almost simultaneously.
Yeah, the basil is there, but it's not like I like basil. I love basil, but I don't like it in salads and fresh. This really works. It brings that basil flavor together without overpowering it. And then you get the little briny hit from the olive, you get the chew from the tomato, a little bit of sweetness in there, and then the pasta. This is amazing. I think I even had a mushroom. Let me get another bite.
The finish of this is the basil. I get all the different flavors when I'm eating it, but it just leaves me with that nice, clean, creamy sensation with the basil notes, and it's really lovely.
Absolutely. Now, you saw how fast this goes together. Basically, in the time that it takes you to boil the pasta water, you can have this ready. So this is a 30-minute meal or less. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.